Hi, Pat.
Hello, how are you doing?
I'm here.
Me too. It's a bit cold and getting colder out there, huh?
Yes.
And it's icy out there right now too,
I didn't
because of
run into too
refreeze.
much ice.
So probably better we're doing this remote today because of the ice.
Yep, yep.
Guess I can start my camera. I want to turn on the light because it's the glare off the windows is a bit of a problem here. Hi, Sarah.
Morning, everybody.
Hi, Joanne. Joanne, you're on mute, so. Hi, Nancy, how are you? Hi, David. Like John says, it's good to see everybody's face.
I've got a phone that does facial recognition. Instead,
Uh-huh,
it doesn't like the masks. It
yes,
sees me with a mask on and says, "What's your code?"
yeah, yeah. I find that if like I'm in the supermarket and I need to text my husband, if he wants something and I keep having to unlock my phone. I'm so used to the facial recognition that, it's funny how fast you get used to some of those things.
Yes.
Oh, Nancy, you're on mute.
There we go. Okay. I said
There
we're
you
back
go.
to spring of last year, aren't we, a little bit?
You know what? I mean, Sarah and I can say, but yeah, and from a staffing and other point, you know what I mean? An
Oh, yeah.
instructor and all kinds of other things. We've had to make some changes. We
Yeah,
just have had to.
yeah,
So, which is the unfortunate truth,
yeah, it is.
Nancy, how are you doing on staffing?
Hoping that-
I was thinking about you with that, I know what's been happening here in the town. You froze there for a minute. Nancy, did you hear my question?
Yeah, you froze too. No.
Oh, okay.
What was your
I may have
question?
been on my side. I was just wondering how you're doing on staffing there
Well, we
because
have-
I know what it's done here.
Yeah, well, staffing has been a problem for like a year, but we have about maybe 4 people out, mostly holiday kind of, family was home, that kind of thing.
Right.
We will see definitely, how that
Mhm.
goes.
Yeah.
Luckily, I don't think anybody's horribly sick, but it's kind of
Mhm.
interesting. You have to follow the CDC guidelines like almost daily about how long if I said somebody should make a board game out of this, it's like,
Oh, yes, that's what Sarah and I were talking about last week, because that was,
Right.
people were asking us what to do, and we were kind of
Right.
like, it changed within a week. It changed pretty drastically. So, and then the health department was so incredibly busy. It was hard for them to get back to people,
Right.
particularly if they didn't pick up the first time. So, yeah, it's been a mess.
Are you planning on coming to the Commission on Aging?
Pardon?
Correct.
one of the things I have a problem with when I log into this thing is I have to put in the passcode,
Right.
which is kind of different, so I had to find it, to put it in. So if people are having some problems, that could be part of it.
Yeah, and particularly if your device is covering up the passcode. So
Right, exactly.
You don't have two devices to look on. That's
Right,
a problem.
exactly. Oh, yeah.
You're right.
I've got lots of devices. Yeah,
Right,
so-
me too, but for a lot of people, that's a problem if they're trying to go on their phone and the passcode is on their phone.
Right, exactly.
You almost
right.
have to go out and then, write it down and then go back in.
I did, and that's what I did. Yeah, kind of. I just had to do that.
I think you got a quorum, John. But you're on mute. Martina, you're on mute too. Looks like everybody but me is on mute. Me and Nancy are on mute, so.
Right.
I was calling Mary Attardo to see if she could get in. I don't
Uh-huh.
know.
Martina, I said one of the things that's hard about getting into this meeting is you have to type in the passcode.
Yeah,
So,
she might be having a problem with that.
yeah.
Okay, Laura is having a problem with the link. I'm gonna work with that just a second so I can send her an email.
Right.
But it's pushing the limits of my technical expertise. So I'll be out of here for just a little bit.
Sure. Yeah, it might be that passcode issue, John.
Yeah, I've got it written right in front of me if anybody needs it to give to anyone.
Yeah, the two.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is the difference between when we moved from GoToMeeting, where you could just click on the link, and Zoom. Zoom requires us to put in a passcode. The one thing that I noticed is you can pick a passcode, and maybe what we should do for these meetings is, and I'll talk to Dorothy about it, pick a passcode that everybody has, and just use the same passcode every time.
oh, that's a good idea.
I know youth services do that for some of their groups, especially with kids, because,
That's a
to
good
have a
idea.
different passcode for the same group every time is tough. So
You
I'm
can
gonna make
also
a note of
use,
that.
you can also use a reoccurring Zoom link. So the whole thing
Right.
can stay the same.
Yep.
There's Mary. Okay. She got in. You're muted if you're talking to us, Mary.
The joys of technology.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Although I am incredibly grateful that we have these tools with what's been going on, because I'm not sure what we would be doing if we didn't. You all remember the length of time when we had to cancel meetings because we didn't have this set up and we couldn't get together.
Yep.
You guys hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay, can you see me?
No.
But you can hear me.
Yes.
Okay, well, I don't know what's going on, but at least you can hear me. I can
Okay.
see you.
We saw you briefly.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on, but at least you can hear me.
Okay.
Okay. Sorry about that. This
It's
is new to me, so give,
Yeah. Technology. It's okay.
yeah, right. Okay.
Right.
Oh, now what? Oh, come on.
Can anybody hear me?
Oh,
Is
Sylvie.
that Sylvie?
It's
Sylvie,
Sylvie.
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
okay.
I don't know what it means that you can hear me,
Can you
but
hear me?
I don't see my picture up there. but I'm here.
Yeah, me too.
If you can click the video, the little camera down and below, that turns on, you automatically come in without.
I don't see
without-
a camera.
Mine's at the top of the screen, so
Yes.
You're
I-
vis- you're visible, Mary.
Oh, okay, you see me
Yeah,
now?
we see you now.
Okay, great. Okay, good.
How
Sylvie,
about,
Sylvie, look for your mute button. Your video should be somewhere near your mute button, whether it's on the top, the bottom, or the side.
I see the mute button, but there's nothing anywhere
how
near it.
about,
No little video camera?
No little video camera.
Hmm.
I did install my webcam, so I should have one.
Webcam.
Is that a problem, Martina?
No, I don't
You're
know.
nodding
much-
your head like, oh no, it's a webcam.
I don't know much about webcams. Sorry.
Well, obviously neither do I.
Um,
I can
are
see,
you on your computer?
I'm
Sometimes
sorry.
you have to turn your are you on your computer and does it
Yes,
have
I
a
am.
separate webcam?
No, it's on my computer. Well,
Okay,
no, it's hooked to my computer. It didn't,
it's hooked to your computer. Mine is too, and I have to make sure it is on. 'Cause it's a separate component on my computer.
I saw no.
But on my one at home, it's internal, so I don't have to do that.
Yeah, I saw no on or off switch.
Have
I
a
don't
green
know.
light?
No, I can't see anything.
Okay, all right.
Oh, well,
Okay. I did send the link to Laura and I assume she's trying to get in now. We probably should go ahead anyway. So the first item of business is the acceptance of the meeting, the December meeting minutes. Any errors or omissions with those minutes? Okay, I'd entertain a motion to accept the minutes.
I make a motion that we accept the December 13th minutes as written.
Second by
Uh,
Dave
sec-
Stevens.
second,
Okay,
Mhm.
all those in favor say aye, raise the hand or something,
Aye.
Aye.
passes. I had no correspondence. The reports.
I,
Mhm.
We're up to Pat.
So as I alluded to before, with the numbers going up and the challenges that we've had here at the center, we have made some changes and Sarah will go into that a little bit more. She did send out a statement to everybody, but I'll have her go through that and she can answer those questions. We have started the budget process. I think I let you know it was launched right after we got back from the holiday break. And my budget is due this Friday to the town manager's to finance. And then I'll be meeting later with the town manager, the finance and the finance director to go over my recommendation. And the town manager will go through all of the recommendations, make adjustments, and that's what the town manager's budget's what's presented, just so you know. So, most times it's the exact same thing that I have but presented. Sometimes there's some changes based on new information that comes in, or, he's needing to take a look at the overall budget and make some changes. So that's in process now. I've met with all of my staff involved in budgeting, my supervisors and Dorothy. So town is in a unique situation in that we're straddling two database systems for our finance. And we're moving to a new one, which is great, Munis, but we still have some the employee portion of the our financial situation, which is the biggest part of our budget, quite frankly, is in admins. So this process is a little different this year due to that. Also, it's different because, you know, the pandemic has affected everything. Lots of costs have gone up for a number of things, just like in your household. So I'm expecting some adjustments for that. But anyway, and again, this would be the time this week, if you had something that you wanted to recommend to us, or you wanted to speak to the council about regarding the budget and what you'd like to see happen. You know, there will be a number of opportunities over the next couple of months for input. Agency grant applications, the regular agency grant applications that we do every year, you know, are scheduled to go out early this week, and it's scheduled to be posted. So those of you involved in that, watch for those. And, you know, again, the American Recovery Act applications for agencies that, you know, the council hasn't landed on the amount and the process for that. So I will keep you up to date on that as that comes forward. As far as building is concerned, the good news is they're replacing our wall, our divider wall that separates the two areas of the senior center, which we can't even repair it if something happens. So we're very happy that it's held up as long as it has, but we're also very happy that it's going to be replaced. And again, Sarah can talk a little bit about that, because that's scheduled. We will need to close the center down for, I believe, a week in order to accommodate the work that they have to do. Staff will still be in here. We'll still be doing transportation and Meals on Wheels and some of those kind of things, but we won't be able to have participants in the building while that's happening. So she can talk a little bit more about that. That also gives us an opportunity for a deep cleaning and other types of things that we never have time for when the building is open and active. And as far as personnel, I alluded to it in the past, but, you know, like everywhere else, we are struggling with COVID. You know, the majority of the staff here in the town have been vaccinated and boosted, but that doesn't mean that you can't be exposed and you can't come down with it, even a mild case. So that has definitely affected our staff throughout the town. I'm just going to put it that way. So, so for a while there, it kind of felt like maybe Sarah and I would be the only two people running everything, but we're not in that situation. So, but anyway, just again, just encouraging people to remember that just because you've been vaccinated doesn't mean that you can't do one of two things, that you can't catch it, even if it's a mild case. Nothing is 100% effective, and that you can't spread it even if you don't have symptoms. So the other thing I'd like to let you know is I know there was a lot of chatting about and concerns about the first distribution that the town did of the home tests and masks. I just wanted to let you know that was the first distribution, that are more to come, and we are definitely involved in the conversations around how that next distribution is going to happen. Town is really concerned about vulnerable individuals, and we'll be looking at opportunities to make sure the masks and the tests land in the hands of Mansfield residents that are vulnerable. So wanted to let you know that. We were very much like most towns where first distribution was just kind of like a first come, first serve type thing. So, you know, they were expecting fast turnaround. So, and that's kind of why it happened the way that it happened. But and that's it for me.
Does that mean that maybe the next distribution might be by appointment?
It means that the next distribution might be targeted for vulnerable populations.
Okay.
So, and that will have to happen in a way that makes sense. For example, appointments wouldn't make sense for people who are homebound, but were vulnerable. You know, that might happen through a home care agency, that might happen through a delivery. That's what I'm saying. You know, that's what we're discussing right now. And certainly Sarah and I are both involved, and Kathy Ann, our social worker here, are involved in those conversations. So I think they got the sense that people were concerned that seniors were not, especially vulnerable seniors, weren't as able to access the distribution. So they want to make sure that that message came across loud and clear. And I think they're really, you know, making every effort to make sure that this next distribution, which will happen very soon, that doesn't happen.
And will people who have personal care attendants, is there a way that their attendant could bring a letter and a ID to pick it up for the person who's at home?
We absolutely will be talking about that. Like I said, as well as possibly delivery or going through home care agencies or other agencies that serve those populations. So absolutely, Martina.
Have they thought about not doing it at 4:30 at night? In my case, I know my mother won't drive after dark.
Yeah.
Right. So they're going to do it different. It's not going to be like a drive-through pickup thing for the vulnerable populations. So for example, if your mother, you know, wasn't able to come, then and she's vulnerable, there we would be working out a way for that could happen, that we could target and make sure she specifically got, you know, the test and the masks. Or, you know, for some people, it'll be, I gotta be honest with you, don't care so much about the masks, they care about the test, and vice versa. They're not so much interested in the home test, but they really are concerned about they want the N95 masks. So, you know, I also want to say the masks, I don't know if you've seen the notice, are now available at the community center and the library for pickup. So, you know, there are two sites that if the masks are what are the concern for you, that you can go today and get them. That went out on a release, I believe, this weekend. Am I correct, Sarah?
Sarah.
Sorry. Yes, I believe I saw it posted on the town's Facebook page that there would be masks available at both their reception desks, the community center and the library while supplies last. As soon as we have any additional information, we will certainly put that out through both our email and our Facebook too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I guess what I'm trying to communicate is that our office, Human Services, and you know, and the senior center will be very involved in this next distribution to make sure the most vulnerable populations are served.
Yeah, there a lot of seniors in a lot of seniors in this town don't have a media, like don't have computers and don't have smartphones. And so I worry about those people. How are you going to get in touch with those people? Like the message went out, I saw the message, but if you don't have access to see the message, you don't know.
Right. And that's why we'll be working with like agencies and, you know, maybe housing people, you know, to get, not only to get that message out, but to get what, you know, I mean, maybe what we'll decide, I can't really, you know, because nothing has been decided, would be look at some of our, you know, housing areas or naturally occurring retirement communities and doing a kind of distribution there. Does that make sense, Martina? Where word can get around, you know, so that's what we're thinking of. And again, this is all that was happening over the weekend. So, you know, and we're Monday morning now. So I don't have the answers on that, but I did want you to know that the town really heard the concerns, you know, and had the concerns, you know, but again, that was the first distribution. There'll be others.
Okay.
So.
Seems to me,
Can you
There's
do
some
it too,
confusion.
Mark?
Pardon, John?
yeah, it seems to me there's some confusion about vaccination versus test kits.
Mhm.
The most vulnerable population needs to have people that may be contagious kept away from them, not
Yes.
necessarily have the test kits themselves.
Correct.
And then the second thing, I guess I know the answer because there's no way you know that I got a test kit. is there's not going to be any indication you've already had one, you can't have the second one.
No. No, other than when you talk about a targeted distribution, John, what we can make sure of is that people get a chance to get at least one. And you're right, the test kit is really, I mean, and it's making people, anytime there's a shortage of anything, it makes people go a little bit like, I gotta hoard them. You know, like we saw that with toilet paper and Lysol wipes and all of that early on. So the test kits are really most important for two things. One, if you're going to go somewhere and you might spread it to other people, you know, and the other is if you're at home and it's hard for you to get to the doctor and you really want to know if it's COVID that you have. I mean, those are the kind of two reasons. So you're right. I mean, healthcare workers, people like us who are in, you know, again, we're as careful as we can, but we're around a bunch of people, you know, because we have to be, Nancy staff, all of that. It's probably more important for people who may expose a lot of people to have the testing. The masks, though, that's everybody, you know. So I will say, if you put one on, they aren't as comfortable as some of the other ones because they're a tighter fit and they can be warmer. But, you know, if you're traveling or you're at risk or you really, you know, want to make sure that you're not going to be exposing people or picking up, they are the better option.
Regarding notifications, what about code red? That comes through on a regular telephone. They don't need a computer or a smartphone for that.
Mm-hmm.
All they have to do is go on the town site and, you know, enter their phone number. And that notification would reach anybody with a telephone who signed up.
Correct.
Right.
You know, and I think that they can't do it the way they used to, which, or they can, but it's not as effective because not as many people have landlines where they can actually find the landlines that are in a particular area, because most people have cell phones now, quite frankly. Most people do not have landlines. So,
You can also
that means people have to register, and some people do and some people don't. So, but you're right.
Can you do it just like Jordan just did through an email to people who have Sparks online?
We can do blasts. I mean, that's the wonderful thing about our database system. And again, Sarah could probably talk about that, how they use that currently. So.
Yeah, this is a multifaceted problem, and there's no solution that covers everybody. So this is one of the really challenging moments in our work, and Nancy is aware of this as well. This is where we were a year ago when we realized if people were not connected via email or another way, that we had to figure out to identify who that was. So as we're going through this discussion about how to get these kits and masks to the people that need them most, what we're going to do is we're going to look at all of our programs that intersect. People who get Meals on Wheels, people that come to lunches, people that access transportation, people who have been accessing outreach services. But there's one more piece of that, and that's our community, and making sure that you all know and that you let your friends know that if there's somebody out there that isn't connected, that doesn't go online, that doesn't do email, this would be the perfect opportunity to get them connected to us. During the pandemic, we had a list of wellness calls for all of those folks. We are going to revisit that today to make sure we're not missing anybody. But you guys are our feelers out in the community. So spread that word and make sure if someone is not connected, but could benefit from some of this stuff or information, then please let us know.
And again, it is kind of the importance of having people from housing. I'll be honest with you. I mean, I know we have council members, commission members that are at some of our housing sites, but you know, I think that's going to be kind of a targeted area where we're going to try to get the kits out to if people haven't gotten them. So, you know, that's helpful as well. How can we best get, you know, word out through Rolling Hills or through Juniper Hill or Wrights Village, you know, or Glen Ridge, you know, or Helinco Estates, you know, any of those where you have people who are, you know, we know already have meet some of the criteria for, you know, whether it's age and income and transport, you know what I mean? Like, we know those individuals meet those criteria. So those are going to be some of our targeted areas as well.
Okay, Sarah.
All right, so yes, as Pat alluded to, we did have to sort of make some tough decisions last week, given the numbers and where they are. We have not seen any, you know, rash of exposures happening at the senior center. We are just acting in a way that is, we think, safe and prudent with what's going on around us going on. So the first thing that we decided was to pull the use of volunteers for our transportation program. We just can't guarantee the safety on either side at this point. And being in a car, you are at very close distance. So what that means is we have canceled our trips as well. We are going to use our paid driver, Dave, to provide medical transportation, and he is going to use our van and do it one-on-one with distancing. So we want people to know transportation is happening. We had to make the tough call to pull trips in order to do that. We have looked at all of our programs over the next couple of weeks throughout the rest of January. We've pulled the ones that we feel are most risky. There was a New Year's meal that TVCCA was putting on. We had 17 people down. We're not going to do that. We're not going to do a movie night with snacks this month. But we are going to keep the presentations. We have WRTD coming in to talk about some of the new things that they're offering folks, give us an update. We know we can space that out in the dining room in a way that's safe. So there's that, there's a Medicare presentation, a couple of others. We've got a history for fun on Dolly Parton. I think that should be great. We're gonna space everybody out in the dining room to be able to do that so that we're not canceling everything. What I really want is for folks to, you know, nip the rumors in the bud. Last week, due to staffing, we had to cancel lunches Tuesday to Friday. That word is out. It was our last resort. Lunches are back up and running this week. We're gonna do the TVCCA lunches at this point because, again, it's a very small group. It's generally not more than 8 to 10 people, and we can spread them out in the dining room. Our commitment is kind of, again, back to, like Nancy said, last early winter. How do we keep essential services and the things that people are relying on going, but also making the smartest decisions we can to make sure we're not posing any additional risk. I think those are the extent of the changes. Let me see.
The only additional thing is, since you have to take off masks for food and like refreshments, we're not going to be serving refreshments at some of the events we were allowing to happen. I think that's the only other thing, right, Sarah?
That is true. And we weren't really doing that. But I know that there were some groups that would bring snacks in. We're really back to strictly enforcing the masks, the distance, and absolutely no food or drink in the building unless you're here for the TVCCA lunch. So going forward, this is changing week to week, day to day. So we're trying to react proactively without closing stuff down. That is the balance right now. We're going to proceed like this through January, and my assumption would be through February. If there are things we can do to give people hope and make sure folks are connected, we're going to do them. If there are things that don't feel comfortable or don't feel right, or if we have instructors or staff not able to be here, we're going to cancel. So we're kind of evaluating on a week-to-week basis. We're using our email and our Facebook primarily to communicate that stuff out. However, we're also making individual calls to folks that we are aware that don't use that. So that's kind of where we're at. We wish we weren't, but we are. Any questions on any of that stuff?
Sarah, the WRTD meeting, is that still Wednesday?
That is Wednesday, January 12th at 2. Yes.
Okay, great. Okay,
Yep.
good.
And that should be in our main room.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sarah, is there capability to make that hybrid where people could participate via Zoom as well if they're not comfortable coming into a crowd?
I can check with Jordan. I can check with Jordan on that.
If you manage to be successful on that, could you send the link to the commission?
Sure thing.
Other questions for Sarah? Okay, Will, we know you have at least one thing on the WRTD.
Well, the only thing that I know of is they're going up before the council tonight at 7 o'clock to discuss some route changes but there's nothing that's going to affect us. We're still going to have our same routes. They did that because the Willimantic parking garage, they're now going to use that as a hub along with the Nash Center. So they're just planning routes to go back and forth so that buses come in at the same time so people can go from one bus to the other and so on and so forth. So a lot's happening, but from what I can see, we're going to be staying the same.
While you have the floor, why don't you continue right on to Rolling Hills?
Rolling Hills, just wait. They're still continuing. They're still putting the sewer in. I lied to all you people. I told you I was the last one that was going to flush, but last week I was hooked in, so I am flushing now. So I'm sorry for the lie. But no, they're going. The clubhouse is closed. It's being renovated for the next 6 weeks. So we don't have anything planned as far as in the clubhouse. That's about it. Sylvie, I don't know if you know anything outside of that.
I know nothing.
Okay, that's it,
Why
John.
would, I only do the newsletter, Will. Why would they tell me anything?
Okay, Martina.
We don't have a representative yet. We're still working on it. We're going to put up a post. I talked to Linda and we're thinking of putting up some kind of posters in different places to try and drum up someone.
Okay, Mary.
Yep. Okay. We had a break for December for the residents meeting because of the holidays. But we're gonna have our next residents meeting the 4th Tuesday of this month. There's a new generator being put in for the cottages so they can hook up a light if the power goes out, hook up a light and plug in, use an outlet like somebody's on oxygen or something like that, or an electric chair needs to be charged up. Last Thursday, forgot what day it was, last week, they did hand out COVID tests, home test kits to us, first come, first serve. So I believe there's probably still more folks here at Juniper Hill that can hopefully get access to one of those. I was fortunate to get one, but I think they still want to, try and get more. I'm not sure when that's going to happen again. I'll check with Lori and Heather. We had a holiday party, which was great a couple of weeks ago in the dining room. There was just so many that were allowed in there. We had a sign-up sheet, and we did have a little entertainment, but it was only 2 folks, Joan Doran, and I forget the other lady's name.
Bobby.
Huh? Who was
Bobby.
it? Yeah,
Bob.
okay, yeah, right. Yeah, so that was really good. Martina, you told me something else when we talked on the phone last night. Do you remember what it was? We talked about.
No.
I can't remember. Yeah, there was something else. I don't think it was anything major, but I'm trying to think back then what we said. So, but that's it for me for now.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Brings us to what's listed as new business, but probably I'll move it to old business now in terms of the agenda. And that's the report that we've been working on to go to the town council. Not much visible progress, but we made a fair amount of behind the scenes progress. Will has figured out the channel to get a hold of past commission records, which turns out to be very simple. And I will follow up on that. And as soon as I see a couple hours available, I'll go over to visit Sarah Chain and be let into the vault to look at the old records. The housing subcommittee has met. We will have the report of Ms. Painter next meeting. So that'll be something to look forward to. And the senior center subcommittee has met. We're still working on various things, including access to the 2020 census records. It seems like it's possible. It's just a matter of figuring out how. Comments or questions? On the aging in place. Last month, Pat indicated that frequently the term is used aging in community or aging in place. Do we want to wrap those two together and talk about it as one item in there, or do we want to just let the aging in community, in community go by the board and talk about aging in place?
Well, they're actually two different things. Aging in place means staying right where you are, like having the services in your home to make you stay. Aging in community means having choices in the community. So if you want to stay in your community, there are housing and service, other housing and other choices that allow you. So if you're in a big house on a second floor, there's housing stock that works for you in the community that allows you to stay in the community you love. And I think for a lot of people here in town, that's almost a bigger issue than staying in their home. So they're really two different.
Right, I realize they're two different topics, really. Which or both do we want to address in talking to the town council? I didn't realize how important aging in community was until my mother-in-law, who lived in Pittsfield, had to go into a facility. And we explored, and there was a place 15, 20 minutes outside of town. And there was no way she could consider that. She wanted to be in Pittsfield. She didn't have anybody left in Pittsfield. All her family had moved off, but that was extremely important to her. I think the majority of people, when you talk to them, they want to stay in their house right where they are. But it's not always possible. I guess I would propose that we deal with both issues, at least as we discuss what we should have in that report.
Right. I agree with you because
I think-
it's the same. I mean, it's not the same, but they're both issues. Staying in your own place and getting services in your home, or moving to some place that's suitable for where you want to live within the town. Most people want to stay in the town, so they're both issues.
I think they're both connected
Mhm.
together.
Yeah. I think there used to be a long time ago, I knew somebody on the Commission on Aging, there was a whole movement to find assisted living or, have something in the area, and it was very difficult because people want to go into assisted living like your mother-in-law. And there's no place really.
Yeah, it seems apparent to me that there's inadequate options in terms of assisted living within the town.
Right.
Or suitable housing that you can live in, that you can bring services in, that has good access to transportation and a walkable community and, services. So, I mean, that's a real challenge here in town that we don't have, and we don't seem to be finding developers willing to develop senior housing, because quite frankly, it's more profitable to develop housing for students. It's,
Right.
It's a real challenge.
Or $400,000 condos and stores downtown.
Mm,
It sounds as though we need to find a way to make the town realize the contributions of older citizens. What we actually bring to the community that other strata may not. I don't know how we do that, just a thought. As opposed to taxpayer dollars.
Well, the bottom line is that the developers that are coming to town, they don't really care about us.
Mhm.
So I don't know if there's a way for the town. We're not in the purview.
We approach plan,
Try again, Joanne.
can we approach planning and zoning and see what their plans are to address this problem? And if they have any plans to, how aggressive they are?
Linda's coming next meeting, it sounds like, from what John said, so that would be a good time to ask those questions.
And would it be to the advantage? I know it has to be voted in that one or two of us get on that committee of planning and zoning.
I guess anybody can volunteer. Whether you would make the committee or not is another question.
Doesn't planning and zoning have to be elected onto it?
Oh, you're right. You're
I
right.
think it
That's
is,
fine.
yes.
Yeah, and that's passed now.
Yep, you have to run for office.
Right.
Yes.
Well, planning and zoning meetings are open to the public. What with COVID, I'm not too sure about that, but the only time you would need prior authorization is if you wanted to raise an issue, but we could maybe, once they allow, I don't know if they're allowing hybrid meetings or not. That would be something I could find out. But I was told that spectators are allowed to come in when they can, assuming we're out of COVID.
Didn't they just have election?
Yeah, Joanne, they did. And another thing,
Right.
if you've been
Then
watching the
maybe we should
meetings, I mean, I think Linda's the first step, but I do know, and she might be able to talk about the housing trust that they're just establishing too, because that's about affordable housing for all ages, but she might be able to talk about if there's any, thing that they're trying to do to take a look at affordable senior housing as well. Or mixed housing that would be, be work for seniors.
Any other items to legitimately come before the commission? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Second,
All those in favor, show your hand.
I,
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Hi.
We're adjourned.
Happy
Stay
Valentine's Day.
warm. Happy Valentine's
Thanks,
Day.
everyone.
And
Okay.
Thanks a
Be
lot.
healthy.
Happy
Bye,
New Year,
everyone.
It looks
everybody.
like next month will be virtual as well,
Okay.
Probably.
correct? So,
Okay.
all
bummer.
right.
Bye, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Pat? No, okay, I'll call her.